Hello everyone, welcome back. So something happened that I wanted to share, right? I was dissed. I was dissed. It was a low blow. So, but it was something worth talking about. So I just wanted to share it, right? So I was in a company of a few women older, and then one of them, right, her niece was getting married. So the young lady came to me and she was like, oh, auntie, make sure you attend my wedding, blah blah blah. And I was just joking around with her like, oh, don't worry, we must represent everything, do you understand? So we're just talking, joking around. And as the girl left, her auntie, she was giving me evils, like she lovingly, she was looking at me like, and clapping her hands and everything. And so I was like, what? She goes, how old are you? And I told her, and she said, are you excited? Blah 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 blah. Oh, you girls of nowadays, you this, you that, you that. At your age, I was already doing this. And then she went on to regale me with stories of all her long lost friends that didn't get married in time and what happened to them and this and that. Yes, it was a low blow, but I know she meant well because I like to look at things from a higher perspective. But here's the question. Was she right with what she said? Do you think she was right about what she was talking about? Absolutely. The thing is, according to whom? Let me explain. Now, it got me thinking. And there are different types of marriages. There are the marriages that man put together, and there are the marriages that God put together. Then there are the marriages that dude downstairs put together, but we're not talking about that today. So anyway, if you're talking about the marriages God put together, they're called kingdom marriages, right? Now, this marriage, this isn't the ones you see in every event centers every weekend. No. They're not the ones you see there. Not that they don't happen there, but it's not one of those you see there every weekend. Why? Because it requires growth. It requires patience. It requires diligence. It requires discipline. And all that character building requires time. So it takes time. Am I making sense? Now, the ones that are put together by man are usually based on selfish reasons. Now, because it's based on our wants and our desires. Now, if you tell those people that the reason they're choosing their spouse is based on selfish reasons, they'll call you a hater. Seriously, they will call you a hater because the reasons seem legit enough to them. It seems legit enough when you talk about, let's talk about it. So you ask, maybe a man that, okay, so why did you choose your spouse? And he'll tell you, oh, she's beautiful, she looks great, she has a great body, she's this, she's that. Do you understand? Which is legit to him. I mean, the guy's crime is that he's only still a beautiful woman that he wants to keep. That's not a problem. The thing with that is, what happens when down the line, when beauty fades? What happens if her body is great? What happens if she gets fat, for instance? I'm just saying. Then you see a lot of people start to compare other women outside, isn't it? If you ask a woman, she might tell you, oh, he's successful, he's doing very well, oh, he's rich, he has money, he has this, he has that. The thing is, what happens if he experiences a loss? Maybe he loses a job or loses a contract, and that money, that very attractive money, isn't there anymore. Then you see women start to argue and complain because that was the basis, the foundation of the marriage. Now, another reason could be that, oh, we love each other, which is very legit. I mean, it's legit enough. Now, what happens down the line when you don't like each other? Because if you're planning to spend a lifetime with somebody, there are times they would do things to you that you won't like them very much. It doesn't take away the fact that you love them. You just won't like them at that time. Now, this is that phase where a lot of people make a mistake and they start to seek for divorce because they are mixing it up. See, in my heart of hearts, I can honestly say I have no hate towards anyone. I love all. Doesn't mean I like everybody. It could be based on whatever reasons, and doesn't mean when I see them going something bad happening to them, I'll turn away. If I turn away, I have a very, very valid reason for that, so you can love somebody, but there would be a phase where you may not. They might infuriate you enough that you won't like them, but a lot of people mix it up at that time. Anyway, Another reason could be that oh, I'm getting older, like the woman was telling me, I'm getting older, the society expects me to get married. Oh, my own expectations, I expect that at a certain age I should be married, which is all good, you know. And then you just meet somebody and you say, you know what, let me just pick one so that I can be called married or whatever it is. Then down the line, you get to have a misunderstanding, and he turns into some knockoff Mike Tyson, like, am I not talking to you? Pow, pow, pow. And then the inner voice that advised you to get married would also advise you to hide it. You know, hide it under your big sunglasses so that nobody would know what's going on with you. Or you go back to the same society that had expectations of you, and then they tell you, oh, you know, you just have to endure. That's what everybody does. They endure. And as soon as you turn your back, they laugh at you. Or you're a man, and from a man's point of view, you feel the same way. Maybe I'm getting older. Then you end up with the woman that, you know, those women that like to lock shirts. They will lock it once, lock it twice, then tighten it, and then they go, okay, beat me now, beat me, beat me. And then you get to push them away, and all of a sudden you turn to a wife beater. You know, the problem with the marriages man put together is they don't get to see far down the line. There's no promise, there's no prophecy, there's nothing about it. You know, it's based on our wants and our desires, and we don't see far down the line enough to know what the future may be like. When God puts two people together, it's usually for a higher purpose or a divine purpose. Like I said, they're called kingdom marriages. Let me share this with you. Now, I won't really go into details, right? But I'll just say it as best as I can. Okay, so before 2020, right? I answered the titled Christian, but I was wishy-washy, obviously. Now there's the prodigal son and there's the obedient son. I was the prodigal. I was the prodigal before 2020. And in 2020, God said, enough. I know it wasn't me, trust me, because if it was left to me, I'll still keep making excuses till today. Oh, I can't do this, oh, work, oh, this, that. So literally, God had to put me through life-changing situations that made me completely surrender, you know. And then my boot camp with God began. So at some point in 2020, like I said, I won't go into details, I'll just say it as best as I can. God said to me, if I give you a partner, it won't be about sex, it would be about purpose. Now, instead of finding out what the purpose or whatever is, the West African in me popped out, and I'm like, ha, Mr. Devil, is that you? No, because I was thinking about all the wrong things. I was thinking, what man is going to endure when there are like so many different girls out there? How am I going to do it? Who's going to want to be in a relationship like that? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? Do you understand? That was what I was thinking about, you know. But luckily, as the years went by, I kept growing and my mindset changed completely. Come 2022, that same topic was revisited, and God said to me again, if I give you a partner, whether sex is available or not, you're going to focus on the purpose. And at that point, I said, yes, sir. So he goes to me, why would you stay? And I said, what if you don't give me at all? What I'm saying is, whether God gives me or he doesn't give me, as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord. It doesn't change anything. My focus is the purpose. So you see, that woman's advice was great, but it wasn't necessarily for me. Sometimes people mean well and they advise you accordingly, but you're the one that heard the instruction. The purpose is personal to you. Look at when Jesus was telling his disciples about what he was going to suffer and how he was going to die, and you know, Peter rebuked it and he said, no, that will never happen to you. What did Jesus say to him? Get thee behind me, Satan. Peter meant well, he loved him, you know, but what he was saying contradicted the purpose of Christ. What that woman didn't understand is that kingdom marriages are only put together for a higher purpose. And it takes time because it requires character building. For instance, the purpose of Sarai in Abraham's life was to fulfill a prophecy. Abraham was to be the father of all nations, and they waited 25 years for that prophecy. It took time to be fulfilled. Now, at the appointed time, everything changed about them. Sarai and Abraham, they became younger. Everything went back to being a young woman. Even their names changed. They became Abraham and Sarah. Even their names changed for that prophecy to be fulfilled. Then she birthed Isaac. Now, Isaac wifed Rebekah. Now, the purpose of Rebekah in Isaac's life wasn't just to be his wife or to be the mother of his children. She was to fulfill the covenant God had with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Now, she thought she was playing favoritism, but the covenant was supposed to be over Jacob's life, not Esau. So while she was playing favoritism, like, oh, you go in place of your brother and take the soup to your father and collect the blessings, that's her purpose in their lives. Does that make any sense? It's what she's meant to do. She thought she was playing favoritism, but her purpose was to fulfill that covenant over Jacob's life. The promise was for Jacob, not for Esau. Now, after Jacob selfishly played his brother, he ran to his uncle Laban's house, right? When he got to Laban's house, Laban's daughter Rachel, he loved Rachel, and he started to work for her hand in marriage. It took 14 years. Now, he just thought he was working for a beautiful woman, not realizing that the purpose of Rachel in his life was to birth Joseph. Now, during that 14 years, it was building his character. By the time he got back to his father's land, he was sober. He was begging his brother. This was the same brother he selfishly played twice. So think about it. He was building his character. Now, he then married Rachel, but her purpose in his life was to birth Joseph. And we all know the role Joseph played in Egypt. Esther married King Ahasuerus for a purpose. Even before she was able to meet with the king, it took her a whole year of preparation. During that time, she was seeking advice, building herself, getting herself ready to meet with the king. And the purpose of Esther in the king's life was to save the Jews from destruction. I'm going to stop there for now. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to marriages put together by God, it takes time, it takes patience, it takes growth, it takes character building, because it is only put together for a divine or a higher purpose. Namaste.